Have you ever wondered what would have happened if Megumi ate Sukuna's finger instead of Itadori during the start of the series? What would happen to Megumi? Would Sukuna end up killing everybody? Continue watching this video to find out. This video may contain spoilers from the manga, so if you haven't read the manga, then you can click off the video right now or stay if you want. Everything starts back in the hospital where Megumi meets Itadori after the death of his grandfather. Megumi then introduces himself and asks about the cursed object or Sukuna's finger. Everything pretty much stays the same up until they defeat the cursed spirit that kidnaps Sasaki. Itadori then finds Sukuna's finger with Sasaki and takes it. Megumi then asks him to hand it over, as it is very dangerous due to it being a special grade object. In the anime, Itadori was not able to give it to Megumi due to the interference of another cursed spirit. So, in this scenario, Itadori was able to give back Sukuna's finger to Megumi in time. As the battle outside the school begins, Itadori decides to help Megumi as it seemed like he was in danger. Itadori then fights the cursed spirit but seems to have a very tough time, especially since he doesn't have the finger. Due to Itadori not knowing about cursed energy, he would continue to get plummeted by the physically strong cursed spirit. With Megumi down on the ground and hurt, he hesitantly thinks about consuming Sukuna's finger for the slightest chance of saving Itadori, since he saved him moments prior as well. With Itadori on the verge of death, Megumi thinks about his unconscious sister and decides to eat the finger in order to save Itadori. He has always wanted more good people like Sumiki to receive fairness, and so he decides to save Yuji because he did not want to see a good person die as well. However, after Sukuna defeats the cursed spirit, Megumi could not switch his body back and does not have control over Sukuna, probably due to him not being Kenjaku's son that could have influenced his powers. This would then endanger Itadori's life. But right as Sukuna is about to strike, Gojo appears from his little shopping trip. However, Gojo eventually takes down Megumi and seems a bit worried since Megumi might be in danger, but he does believe that they can overcome the situation. With Sukuna badly hurt and knocked out, Gojo takes him back to Jujutsu High and also takes in Itadori after sensing his cursed energy. Megumi then gets held for secret execution, without a potential higher-up in Naoto Zenin knowing about the execution, due to Megumi being a Zenin and becoming the next potential head of the Zenin clan with his 10 Shadows technique. Gojo then makes an agreement with the higher-ups to spare Megumi until he eats the remaining fingers. Due to the situation that Sukuna is in, he decides to give back Megumi his body, and plans to take control when given the perfect opportunity. Gojo is then surprised and asks Megumi if he was able to suppress Sukuna, but he says that he did not do that. Gojo would proceed to be skeptical about Sukuna's upcoming plans. The first mission with the trio would essentially end up the same as Gojo decides to not let Megumi go with Itadori and Kugisaki, due to it being a high risk, so he decides to watch over Megumi while waiting. After the mission is complete, Gojo allows the trio to be on their own as he believes that Itadori and Kugisaki can at least hold off Sukuna for a really short while at this level. But it still isn't a really good decision, as he should have just accompanied them either way. The mission would go on similar to the way it was up until the Finger Bearer fight. This time, Megumi opts to hold off the Finger Bearer and sends Itadori with his divine dog to find Nobara. Despite being beaten to a pulp during the start, it would end up similar to his fight against the Finger Bearer in the Death Painting arc. Megumi would activate his domain expansion, Chimera Shadow Garden, for the first time and end up beating the Finger Bearer. So, Sukuna does not end up coming out in this fight. After witnessing the power and potential of Megumi, Sukuna finds a jackpot that would contribute to his plan and decides to lie low. With Megumi not being able to control Sukuna himself, Sukuna would always have the upper hand. Even if Megumi were to be killed, a binding vow that would allow the revival of Megumi would just lead to Sukuna having more control. Gojo would then send Itadori and Hanami to go on tough missions in order to teach Itadori more about Jujutsu. With Itadori not being Sukuna's vessel, the mission would still continue with Junpei being manipulated to act as a spy in Jujutsu High in order to ambush Megumi. Itadori and Hanami then arrive on the scene together to investigate the murders at Kinema Cinema. Everything would pretty much be the same up until the fight against Mahito, a special grade cursed spirit. In Mahito's 2-on-1 battle with Nanami and Yuji, Mahito was able to grow stronger while his life was in danger, allowing him to achieve the ability to set up his own domain expansion. With this, he would also allow Itadori to enter his domain as Sukuna would not be able to intervene anymore. This would then lead to the transfiguration and death of Nanami and Itadori. With these deaths, Junpei would not be able to join Jujutsu High and gets killed instead by Mahito as he now does not have any use. During the Kyoto Goodwill event, Principal Gakuganji would order the students from Kyoto High School to kill Megumi during the event. Now, without Yuji there to hold off Todo, Megumi and Todo would end up having a rematch, which was a one-sided fight in favor of Todo, while the rest of the other battles would pretty much be the same. As Megumi is on the verge of death, Megumi asks for Sukuna to come out, and Sukuna is surprisingly willing to take control in order to keep him alive. Even if he did die though, Sukuna would still be able to revive Megumi if he wanted to. With this, Noritoshi Kamo joins the battle and assists Todo. He says that Megumi is ashamed to the Zenin family by inheriting the curse of Sukuna, and so he vows to kill him. As the battle continues on, Hanami appears out of nowhere and spoils the fun. Sukuna would be the first to challenge Hanami, but it seems like Sukuna alone with 3 fingers consumed is not enough to beat Hanami. Sukuna would then be defeated and return back to Megumi's state, but he would not die due to the interference of the other 2 schools. They would then be able to hold off Hanami until Gojo arrives to force Hanami back to retreat. After the Goodwill event battle, Mahito escapes successfully and regroups with Hanami. He has successfully stolen 6 Sukuna fingers as well as death painting wombs number 1 to 3. The Yasohachi bridge mission is then assigned to both Megumi and Nobara. However, without Itadori, it would seem like this mission would be harder than it was originally. It would pretty much flow the same way up until the battle beneath the bridge. While Megumi is fighting the finger bearer, Nobara gets taken and is forced to fight against 2 cursed spirits in Eso and Kachizo. With the overwhelming poison and decay, it would lead to Nobara getting killed. Megumi then handles the finger bearer quite more easily than the last one. As he rushes to find Nobara, he finds himself speechless after seeing her body on the ground. He then goes on a rampage and uses his Shikigami with all his might to take down both Eso and Kachizo. As Sukuna's vessel, he was immune to the poison during the fight. In the end, Megumi stands victorious but at the cost of another life. Now, this arc would be too long for me to talk about honestly, with so many battles going on. So, I'll try my best to make a summary of key events that may affect Megumi's side of the story. Gojo would pretty much still be taken by Kenjaku and the rest of the special grade cursed spirits. A lot of the fights that happened without the involvement of Itadori and Nobara would pretty much be the same. Now, upon trying to get to Gojo, Megumi encounters Choso, the big brother of both Eso and Kachizo. The battle would seem to be pretty even for some time, up until Megumi fails to dodge one of Choso's piercing blood techniques. He would then be forced to use Mahoraga to take down Choso. While they were fighting, Megumi would be fed one of Sukuna's fingers by Nanako and Mimiko and another 10 fingers by Jogo. Choso would then be killed without finding out that Itadori was one of his brothers. But it wouldn't really matter as they were not able to beat each other. With this, Sukuna would awaken and utterly destroy the 3 of them. Sukuna is then very impressed by Megumi's growth and defeats Mahoraga. He finally decides to take complete control of Megumi's body with the power of the 10 Shadows technique in full potential. Sukuna would then go around the city killing people until he eventually comes across Toji Fushiguro. As the world's last hope in stopping the King of Curses, Toji was unable to stop Sukuna and save Megumi from the suffering that he will have to live with. 15 consumed fingers and no preparation was too much for Toji to handle. This fight would just show how strong Sukuna is compared to Toji. How many Sukuna fingers do you think Toji is as strong as? Comment down below. Finally, we have the Culling game arc. Without our main trio, it would have been a complete disaster. Angel would not have been found and Gojo would still be sealed in the prison realm as the rest of the Jujutsu sorcerers were unable to save him at least with the time that they had. In the end, Kenjaku's plan would push through and Sukuna would remain as the King of Curses. What do you think would have happened if Megumi ate Sukuna's finger instead? How would this affect the rest of the story? And if you have other what if ideas that you would like to see, let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content just like this. Thank you for watching.